It goes in waves. There are a ton of young baseball stars, and I don't know why. I do know, John, over the last 7-8 years, baseball participation in America is sharply increasing, meaning moms and dads are pushing their kids into baseball more than ever. What do you see? Because it seems like to me there's a wave of 12 to 15 really good young players.
Yeah, we have, I would call it a little bit of an epidemic in sports where we're getting sports specific too young, too early. So there are decisions being made at 7, 8, 9 years old that you would never make 20 years ago about what sport you're going to choose. So they're playing the sport more often, which comes with a little bit of risk of injury and burnout, but they're more prepared. They're in showcase games. They're in all kinds of big moments so that when these big moments happen here on the field, which I was scared to death my first year, they're not. They're making huge impacts, and some of them are being forced a little bit unprepared, but their talent's so good that the team can do away with what they're not capable of as far as the fundamental completion of a player. And I think you're seeing about transformation of players who are making adjustments on the fly, which I think is unbelievable for a young player, which speaks to their mindset and their ability to adjust and learn, because it's not an easy game. It's a game of failure. And I'm in awe of the young youth in our game that has made major impacts, and it's allowed clubs to go in directions where maybe they couldn't have gone before. They would have allowed that seasoning in the minor leagues to happen a little longer. Veteran guy stays in there, plugs up the spot, and then here comes the young, promising future star. So it's pretty amazing, and I agree with you in this game, from the All-Star standpoint, so much closer to a regular-style game, and I think you're going to see a good one tonight.
You know, you talk about the wave of young players. Christian Yelich is a guy that was a late bloomer a little bit. He's 6 years in the minors. It does feel like, as you said, players are more prepared to go to the big leagues and perform, but you still get some slow growth guys. I mean, Tom Brady struggled in college at Michigan, and Brooks Koepka didn't get his card until he was 24 as a golfer and didn't win a big one until he was 27. You got your Tigers and your Bryce Harpers. But I do find, like, let's take Bryce Harper. When you come in like Tiger and LeBron and Bryce Harper, the expectations, John, are ridiculous. And where do you think Bryce Harper is today as a star? He the most strikeouts I've ever seen. Defensive shifts have not been his friends. Where is his game today, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think you're right. We put so much on everybody, regardless of whatever that person puts on himself. So it's added expectation and pressure. I think Bryce Harper handles it from a star standpoint of this is what he was made to do from youth till he got to the big leagues. And he's had a couple big breakout seasons. But I think, in fairness to him, it's hard to think that we're passing the mantle on to the next Mike Trout or the next this guy. We're always looking for the next. And Bryce Harper's going to need a year of transition in a new team to reset his roots so that it doesn't fall all on him. He takes the pressure off the rest of his players. Analytics is one thing, and it certainly has its place with the numbers that tell you what you need to know. But what it won't tell you is what he does for the rest of that ball club, taking the pressure off the rest of those players by answering all the questions, by dealing with the media, by putting all the attention on him. So I think there's value in that, and not to mention the franchise value went through the roof for Philadelphia. But the actual question comes down to, is the contract worth and value going to be able to deliver championships, and will it be able to do what Philadelphia wants to do when they signed him?
You know, when you look at the Yankees and the Dodgers, there are no perfect teams. Now, in baseball, it's possible to have a perfect team because you have no salary cap. So if you had the Yankees' revenue, you could feasibly, fill your spots. Whereas in other sports, salary caps, you have some holes you can't solve financially. Is there a team, like I look at the Dodgers and I see youth, but is the bullpen good enough? I look at the Yankees. The Yankees' record's remarkable. They've won despite injuries. Where is the hole in the Yankees? Where do you think October may not be perfect for them, or do they have one?
Well, yeah, then the glass half full, half empty. I love the conversations when we look at teams because everyone can look at it a little bit half empty and then they could find the glass half full. Well, with the Yankees, they've done it without a consistent roster of health, and they've changed their lineup in a way where by some of those injuries, you found out the ability to contact. They contact the baseball more. They don't strike out quite as much. Where they're weak a little bit is in their starting rotation. Where they're strong, it's in their bullpen. And so when they look at basically putting this team together, and when Cashman made the moves he did for depth, and that has played out huge. He's looking, I would think, indirectly at the Houston Astros because they're going to have two big right-handed donkeys that they're going to have to face if they're going to go to the World Series, in theory, in Cole and Verlander. And is there enough strikeouts in that lineup? I think he shored that up. They can shorten the game in the bullpen and lights out in the sixth inning on. So if they add a starter that can kind of come close to a frontline guy that would help them, they are very dangerous offensively. The question with the Yankees still is 162 games, they're going to bludgeon the ball, they're going to embarrass pitchers, but in a series, can they make enough contact? And as far as the Dodgers go, you're right about the bullpen. Their ability to add a piece in the bullpen would go a long way with the quality team that they have. They're not going to be challenged in their division. They're certainly going to get into the postseason and make that third run at a World Series and try. The pressure's on them, but I think the most complete team when healthy is still the Houston Astros. For all the areas that they have to complement one another, I still think they're a team that, when healthy, has got the most weapons.
Okay, so I said this earlier. I've been hearing balls is juice forever, and my takeaway is it's easy to say that, right? Like I could just be a sportscaster and say, ball's juiced, but there's no nuance. There's no context with that. I think, and I compared it, John, to the three-point shot in basketball. When the defensive shifts came out, a lot of people pushed back when Joe Madden started it in Tampa. And then everybody's like, oh, that kind of works. Oh, it's beating me. And now if you don't do some defensive shift, and if you don't embrace analytics and launch angle, you're a dinosaur. And so I think, like the three-point shot, there was pushback about 8 years ago. Now everybody's in on the three-point shot, and everybody's in on launch angle. And that's why we're seeing the home runs. The whole sport now, you can't bunt. Strikeouts are okay. No ground balls. I don't buy juice baseballs. But maybe I'm completely wrong. What are people saying inside the sport?
Well, the biggest thing is where I would trust, and I haven't held a baseball in 11 years, but when I did, you could blindfold me and I could tell you 10 different baseballs if you put in my hand what was different about them. So I'm going to trust the pitchers that have the ball in their hand that have thrown over 2 million pitches, that they have an understanding that the ball feels different, it's reacting different, and that might be an unintended consequences of just manufacturing a baseball, and things change. Contact changes, the weather changes. So there is some validity to the ball being different and adding to the distance and less drag and where the ball stays in the air more. But you're 100% right in your analogy. Because we see more three-point shots and because there's more three-pointers in the game, it's not necessarily because there's better shooters. It's just a philosophy to shoot the ball more, therefore you're going to have more three-pointers. Same thing with baseball. The philosophy is beat the shift, swing. Don't have a two-strike approach. Get the ball in the air. Do not hit the ball on the ground. So that's going to add to the more volume in home runs. The distance and the way it's traveling, that's a different issue. Because velocity is in and guys are stronger and their launch angle and the way they swing the bat's different, that is going to contribute to more home runs. But when a guy hits a ball the other way on a kind of an off-balance swing and the ball's launching itself out of the stadium, you start questioning, why is that ball staying in the air that long? We're not in Colorado. So there is some validity. I don't believe it's intentional. I don't believe this was set out to go and make more offense. Offense is now being the same philosophy in basketball is the quickest way to get a run is hit the ball over the fence. That is contributing to it. The inability to locate pitches worldwide in our game, league-wide, is also contributing to it, and the approach of the hitter. So you're right on, but there is something different when a majority of the pitchers complain about being able to spin the baseball or the feel of the baseball, and I'm going to trust them because they got it in their hand just like I did for 21 years, and that's why I threw back a lot of baseballs that didn't feel right.
That's fascinating. That's when you really know your sport, that you could grab a baseball and know that it was different from other baseballs. That's fascinating. John Smoltz, good luck, and we'll be watching you tonight. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.